I was sitting in a restaurant 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, and I think it was the Upbeat Times. Yeah, that was laying there on the table, and it was open, and there was a quote, and I scribbled it down on the back of the placemat. And I'm going to read it, and you can read along if you like. Today I choose life. Every morning when I wake up, I can choose joy, happiness, negativity, pain. To feel the freedom that comes from being able to continue to make mistakes and choices. Today I choose to feel life, not to deny my humanity, but to embrace it. What are we all going to choose today? We can choose anything. We're human beings. We can decide to have a horrible day if we want to, and it's ours. We can do that. I think there's another question beyond what can I choose today? And that question is why? Why are we going to choose to water the grass? Why are we going to choose to take our children or grandchildren to a dance class? Why are we going to choose to send our kids to college? What's the effect of these choices? Every choice has an effect. Like I spoke earlier, does it have to do with the balance in our lives? With making choices that help us be in harmony with the world around us, with the people around us? Why do we send our kids to college? Is it so they can learn to think, hear other opinions, be exposed to different cultures, different ideas, different possibilities, try to figure out what their direction in life is going to be? Or is it purely just to get a job so they can make more money? I was having a conversation a week ago, and I heard words coming out of my mouth, and it was a rather philosophical conversation. And I thought, I'd never said those words before, but I thought they made sense. So I'm going to kind of share that with you today. How many times have we all heard we are spiritual beings having a human experience? How many of you kind of ascribe to that? Well, I've heard that for years. You know, the Unity Church, Religious Science, Unitarian, they use that phrase, that affirmation religiously. And there was a pun intended if you choose to catch it. I've always had a problem with it. I get the gist of it. I get the overall intent. But the statement itself, and I finally figured out this week why that has always troubled me. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. That statement is contrary to the very basis and the foundation of spiritual philosophy. I'll try to explain why. We talk about spirit as having no time, no space, and no form. A being is a form. We are beings. Spirit is not a being. It manifests itself into beings as beings. But spirit itself has no form, has actually no description. in our language. It's unseen, uncomprehendable as to its complexity and size. I prefer to think of it as we are human beings. That's what we are. We can wrap our heads around that. We eat, sleep, and say dumb things, and have friendships, and we have wars. We have all these things that human beings do. And there's not one of us that can't picture that. But we are human beings, and we have a special privilege in that. And that's that we can have spiritual experience and awareness. I tried to sum all that up in 2 sentences, and I'll read that as well, and you can follow along. We are human beings with the capacity of having spiritual experiences in the dimension of the unseen, thus providing us the awareness of infinity. Further, in this awareness of the infinite energies of every possible description, we have the privilege of choosing how we manifest these energies in our physical life experiences. That, to me, I can wrap my head around. It reminds me that I have had spiritual experiences, and everyone in this room has, and you can describe it, or maybe you can't describe it. Sometimes you have those experiences when you meditate. I just did. Sometimes people have those experiences when they do yoga, or sometimes when they sit down under a tree and listen to the wind in the leaves, listen to the grass grow, listen to the beating of their own hearts, feeling the pulse in their hands without touching themselves. All of us can have these spiritual experiences in as many ways as there are people. And I think could possibly be that since spirit is everywhere, it's in everything, it's in us, what prevents us from having these all the time? It's our own conscious or subconscious choice. It's our own blocking. We're too caught up in our heads, in the intellect, in our agendas, in our habits. Maybe it's time to just ask the question, what am I choosing today? Whatever it might be. And then why? And does this come from deep within inside of me, or is it just a habit because I've always done it that way? Is it for the good of the whole, or is it just good for me personally? Is it truly a kind thing to do, or am I just being a martyr? Why? Why are we making these choices? We can never stop asking that question. And every one of us, especially me, I block so much beauty, so much awareness, so many experiences that could be fantastic, because I'm caught up in my own head, my own brilliance, my own habits, my own wrong way of doing everything. I'm no different than anybody in this room. All of us. We are human beings. We're supposed to make mistakes. We're supposed to make choices that just don't turn out like we wanted. That's the script. But we have this privilege of transcending those habits, transcending that busy, busy brain, transcending that aching back, and finding what is our purpose. What am I going to decide today? Who am I going to be today? Am I going to be the image that I want people to see? Or am I going to be the real magnificent me? The real deal. Because each one of us, in our own true self, has something quite wonderful to bring to this party we call life. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that can say this, but when you have these spiritual experiences, these times, they just come. They are more fulfilling, more gratifying. They give us greater awareness of what's really going on than anything we can ever read in a book or hear somebody talk about. It's those times when you're in communion with Spirit, with God, with the unseen, the divine, whatever you want to call it. It's those times when we begin to become aware and start to understand what is our purpose. What is this thing that makes me want to get up in the morning and want to do whatever it is that thing is? We are human beings with the capacity and the privilege of having spiritual experiences, having communion with the divine. We have the freedom to choose whatever we want to choose to do today, whatever we want to say today, however we want to feel today. We can choose that. And when we're making that choice, considering that choice, I urge us, each of us, to ask that little question. Why? Why? And then try to answer that question. Everybody remember everything I said today? Good, I'll let you ponder that. Let's stand up and sing, "What a Wonderful World." And it can be if we choose to look at it that way. The choice is ours because we are human beings having magnificent, wonderful experiences.